It's a great view of Swindon from up here in Old Town. I'm Paul Langcaster, and for many years I produced Swindon's local channel on Swindon Cable. One of the popular features that we presented each week was a look at local history, Swindon Through the Years, comparing images of the past with those of present day. Well, we thought that in this Swindon's 175th anniversary year, it was time for more of the same. This time we're turning back the clock 31 years to 1985. The clips were recorded as part of Swindon Cable's news programme Focus on Swindon. It reported on news and events all over town. In this programme, look out for the Mechanics Institute. We're off to Oakhurst for views over Swindon 30 years ago, and also we'll be in Wroughton to look at the Lister site that's now all gone. So that's on the way. Time to enjoy our look at a changing Swindon. And please remember at the end, please do like, comment or share. We'd love to hear your views. Let's have a look at Swindon through the years. Delving into the Swindon Cable archive, we're turning the clock back to the mid-1980s, discovering forgotten sites in a changing town. Another look at Swindon through the years. We begin with one of Swindon's few iconic buildings, the Mechanics Institute in the railway village. A view we're all familiar with today, but let's turn the clock back over 30 years to 1985. This view shows the building still in use, although much of it was empty. You can still make out the fine lines of the building, the heart of the railway village, completed in 1855. It contained the UK's first lending library and provided a focal point for social activities for workers in the railway town. Signs on the building in 1985 show Swindon was part of the Western region. As we compare the same location today, we can see the sign is long gone. Bushes and trees are sprouting up around the building. Every window broken, now boarded up. It really would be a travesty if we were to lose this important slice of history. Here's the view from London Street, the facade facing the entrance to the former railway works. It clearly shows just how much of the building is shrouded under the protection of the scaffolding and covers. Each of the two towers used to provide useful information. On one tower a clock, and on the other a weather vane. Look closely, they're still there today. The building has suffered from the elements and is now an unsafe shell. Although the roof is now protected from rainwater, it's a very poor shadow of the fine, proud building that was once the popular social centre of the railway town. The Mechanics Institute is visibly crumbling and decaying. Shielded by today's temporary covers, it masks the glory of this once proud jewel of the railway village and the Great Western Railway. Finally, we'll end our look at the Mechanics with a couple of views we can't take today, as the building is no longer safe. But here's what it looked like inside when the theatre was open. In fact, many youngsters will still remember being taken there to see the local pantomime before the Wyvern Theatre opened. In 1985, the safety curtain was still in place, but already rainwater and damp were starting to take their toll on the building. You could clearly see puddles of water laying on the floor. Well, now we're off to Rodbourne and a visit to Jennings Street. One of Swindon's fine Victorian brick-built schools stood here. The school was known as Westbourne Secondary Modern School, and in 1985 the building was still standing. It was opened back in 1904 with accommodation for 580 girls and boys and 198 infants. Although our 1985 view shows the school still standing, Commonweal had been expanded and pupils were transferred. It was therefore deemed surplus to requirements, and the neglected school building was pulled down in 1987. Today, the Even Swindon Community Centre sits on the site where Victorian children once sat in classrooms. In fact, nothing seems to stay the same in our ever-changing world. Even the old street sign has gone, leaving just some telltale holes in the old brickwork on the side of a house facing the old school site. Now to West Swindon and the Link Centre. Built by the then Thamesdown Borough Council, the Link Centre has been at the heart of sports activities in West Swindon since it opened in April 1985. This view, taken 30 years ago before it opened, was taken looking along Tewkesbury Way. The land to the left now houses the hotel and pizza restaurant, but in this view they're a long way off. The land hadn't long been turned over from farmland. Work on the £9.5 million building had started 2 years earlier and brought the town an eagerly awaited ice rink. Our second view shows work continuing around the outside of the building, with concrete drainage channels being laid for many of the watercourses that once crossed the farmland. Steel erectors had been hard at work all over the building. The space-age design had both its fans and its critics, but in its first year received an estimated 1 million visitors. Our view shows the contractors still on site, with the first skaters still to take to the ice. Now, here are some views taken in the winter of 1985. Looking over the town, these were scenes that many people only saw on their way to the Princess Margaret Hospital. We're looking across to the David Murray John Tower from Oakus Road. The view takes in the Radnor Street Cemetery and houses that surround Kings Hill. The clear hillside was thought too difficult to build houses on. However, in our 2016 view, we can see that this whole section of land now has modern houses built into the steep banks of the hillside. It means most of the view is now obscured compared to our 1985 view. No longer can you look across to the once mighty railworks in the town and see lines of recently repaired locomotives. The lines of engines have been replaced with lines of houses, where the mighty A-shop of the railway works once stood. Of course, one building that's changed little is Wiltshire's second tallest building, the David Murray John Tower. Only Salisbury Cathedral's tower stands higher. Well, now back into town and to the county ground. It's been the home to Swindon Town Football Club since 1896. The ground has had vast improvements since our 1985 views. The old wooden south stand was swept away and replaced in 1994 following the tragic Hillsborough disaster. Swindon's various promotions and relegations have meant the stadiums had to meet the latest safety requirements, and numerous improvements have been made at the home of the Robins. The drab buildings have all been given a new lick of paint, and advertising now covers this part of the stand. This rather sorry-looking view shows part of the stand known as the Town End. It still stands there today, however it looks much neater in a fresh coat of paint, although the old doors and windows have been bricked up. Despite talk of a new ground, Swindon are still at home at the county ground, and maybe in another 30 years we'll be reminiscing about the current ground. Well, finally, we're off to Swindon Road in Wroughton. This was once the considerable site of Lister's, later known as Lister Petter. This is where for many years diesel engines were built. The site at Wroughton was originally occupied by Marine Mountings Limited and was later acquired by Lister's, a name famous for its agricultural machinery and diesel engines. Today the site's been cleared and housing now stands where industry flourished. It's easy to drive along the road and over the mini roundabout without even thinking about the many men and women that worked in this important local factory, helping to keep the wheels of industry turning. However, the estate where Lister's was now carries the names from the past: Lister, Petter, Marine and Mountings, an apt reminder of just how much Swindon is constantly changing. Discovering forgotten sites in a changing town, delving into the Swindon Cable archive for a look at Swindon through the years.